everyone, welcome to Peek Inside. For those of you that are new, my name is Darlene and I live in Canada. And something very exciting is happening in our country. On July 1st, it is Canada Day, and our country is turning 150 years old, and it is going to be a huge celebration. And you know, we're very proud of our country, and as Canadians, you know, we're pretty much known for our friendliness, our beauty within our country, and I thought it'd be fun to share with you guys some, first off, a little bit of facts about Canada. You know, Canada is a population of 35 million. We are made up with 10 provinces and 3 territories. We have 3 major political parties. We have the Liberals, the Conservatives, and the New Democratic Party, which is we call NDP. And presently we have a Prime Minister, and our Prime Minister is Justin Trudeau. He is young. He is young. But his father was actually Prime Minister for Canada for quite a few years in the 70s and 80s, and you know, it's interesting, it's very historical, because his father was actually Prime Minister when I went to elementary school, and now to see his son, like, it's something that's never happened in our country before. And as always, you know, some people like him, some people don't, and I think that's pretty much the way it goes with politics. And for Olympics, our country has hosted the Olympics 3 times. The first time we hosted the Summer Olympics in 1976 in Montreal, and probably the most famous thing that happened that year, especially now because things have changed, but in 1976, Bruce Jenner won the gold medal for the decathlon. And in 1988, Canada hosted the Winter Olympics in Calgary, and a nation fell in love with Elizabeth Manley, who won the silver medal in women's figure skating. And the last time Canada hosted the Olympics was in 2010 in Vancouver. It was the best party ever. The gold medal hockey game was a national day in our country. It came down to the United States and Canada. It was down to the wire. The United States scored with like less than 5 seconds left in the game, and the whole nation just fell silent. And it was a day that we just sat on the edge of our seats and we watched the Canadian men's hockey team win the gold medal, and it also won the most gold medals ever for a host country. I think the most gold medals ever by a country in the Winter Olympics. So that is a little bit of Canada. What Canada is kind of known for food-wise is going to be kind of what I'm talking about this week, because I am going to be doing Canadian dinners, and I'm also going to be sharing some other little things throughout the week to let you guys know a little bit more about Canada. But Canada is a country of immigrants, so there's a lot of historical things about foods and stuff, and I will explain that more as I kind of show some of our meals. But Canada is known on the East Coast for lobster, fishing. You know, Quebec has a lot of foods that they're really known for. I'll be sharing a little bit of that. Alberta is really much known for the Alberta beef, and BC, you know, the Fraser River, the salmon, very well known for that. Maple syrup, you know, we have Nunavut, we have the Northwest Territories, we have the Yukon, so there's lots of, you know, caribou, you know, a little bit other stuff. So in Canada we have some coins, and for this is called the loonie. It is a $1 coin. We used to have a $1 bill. It was green, and you know, it was cheaper to make a loonie because they lasted longer, and they just decided it. So it is a $1 coin, and the reason they call it a loonie is because there is a Canadian loon on it, and that's the loonie. And then a couple of years later, they came out with the $2 coin, and we have a polar bear on it. And then all of our change also has the Queen on the back, because we still kind of are under the Commonwealth. Like, we have a Governor General in Ottawa. Right now it is David Johnston, and you know, there's still a lot of history with the Queen and family in our country. But anyways, that is a loonie, and this is a toonie. Okay, it is Friday night. Steve treated us to something very special. This is called the Halifax Donaire. So the little bit of research that I did on this, it was a Greek family that came to Halifax, and they tried to make some of their traditional food, but it just didn't really jive with the people there. So they kind of made some changes. They took away the lamb, they brought in the beef, they made like a sweet donaire sauce and added tomatoes and onions in pita. And it became known as the Halifax Donaire. And it became so popular that the city of Halifax actually named it like the food, the main food of the city. So because we live in a military community and we have so many people from down east, that we actually had a chip truck open up that sells like East Coast things. And this is the one thing that they sell, and it's called the Halifax Donaire. So Steve got us each a Halifax Donaire. It's just, like I said, there's tomatoes and onions in that. And Steve also surprised us with something that this is not available all over Canada. I have never tried this. It is the crushed pineapple. But from what I know and what I've heard, anybody that has ever been down east, this is an absolute must-have. So I'm actually anxious to try it. So pineapple crush and homemade donaires from a good old down east chip truck. So that is what we are having for dinner on Friday night, donaires. Okay, the next little Canadian fact, not all of Canada, but mostly Ontario, Quebec, and I think part of the East Coast, we use milk bags. I don't always use milk bags, but with Sarah home from school, I find we're going through a little bit more milk, so I decided to pick them up. So milk bags originated in late 1960s, but they really took off in the early 70s. Part of the reason was, you know, obviously milk came in glass bottles, and plastics were kind of making that, you know, changing everything. And obviously it was a lot cheaper to produce milk bags. And it was also the fact that Canada was transferring to the metric system. So this is 4 liters of milk. So they're inside this bag is 3 1 1/3 liter bags of milk. So the milk that I purchased, it's a different brand and the bags are blue, but usually they're white. But where I live, we have a lady and her beautiful grandchildren that take these milk bags and they make sleep mats for children in countries that are not as fortunate as we are. And they make sleep mats. So usually a lot of people will save up these milk bags, send them off to this wonderful woman and her children, and they make sleep mats for, you know, people that need it. So they don't go to waste. So really thrifty people, I know my mom did it. Some people will take these milk bags when they're empty, wash them out, hang them up on the clothesline with a clothesline hook and dry them out and use them as freezer bags because they're really thick plastic. I remember my mom freezing strawberries, raspberries, tying them up with a string and freezing them for the winter. So how do we use milk? Well, we have these little milk jugs, and what you do, you put your milk in the jug, give it a good bang. And for me, I cut each hole, like each end. So I'll make like a little hole here and then another little hole here. So when I go to pour my milk, the air flows through and then the milk stays standing up. So that is milk in a bag. I know it's pretty intriguing. Okay, for Saturday night, we are having tortilla. Obviously, it's from the province of Quebec, and it is really just a meat pie, a double-crusted meat pie. The one we are having, I did not make this. This one is a beef and pork one, but sometimes it can be made with moose, rabbit. You know, really it was made with whatever they could have at the time. So it originates from Quebec, and traditionally, the Catholic Quebecois would enjoy this after midnight mass at Christmas time. So that is something, I don't know, because we live in Ontario, we know a lot of stuff carries over into our provinces, but it's just a simple meat pie. I also put gravy on it, so this is what it looks like with the gravy, and it is pretty rich. So we're just having steamed green beans with this. So our Canadian dinner on this Saturday night is tortilla. Okay, it is Sunday night dinner, and I roasted a chicken, baby carrots, my twice baked potatoes. But for those of you in Canada probably recognize this, and for those of you that are not, in Canada we call a restaurant called Swiss Chalet. It is a Canadian franchise. There's kind of 2 different types of Swiss Chalet. One, it can be shared with a Harvey's restaurant, and it's not a full rotisserie chicken restaurant. It's kind of just a quick thing. But there is also Swiss Chalet like dine-in restaurants where they have a lot more variety, but they are known for their quarter chicken dinners, and you get a quarter chicken, French fries, rolls, and Swiss Chalet dipping sauce. But in Canada, we were very fortunate. I can actually buy this at the grocery store, and that's what I did. I just buy the Swiss Chalet dipping sauce. You mix it with water, bring it to a boil, and then you have a really nice dipping sauce dip your chicken in. I think Swiss Chalet is best known for at the Christmas holidays. They kind of have a festival dinner, and it has like stuffing and the chicken, and then it usually has like a Toblerone bar or chocolates or something like that. So there's over 200 restaurants in Canada. It's just kind of a Canadian thing. We also have Saint Hubert, but that's more in Quebec, but it's kind of along the same thing. But I prefer Swiss Chalet over Saint Hubert, but just something in Canada, when you say Swiss Chalet dipping sauce, most people, that's exactly what they love about Swiss Chalet. So that is our dinner tonight, just a regular roasted chicken dinner with a little treat tonight of the Swiss Chalet dipping sauce. Okay guys, so it is Sunday night. We are having dessert tonight, and we are having Nanaimo bars, and they are definitely a sweet treat. I did not make these, I bought them, but they have like a wafer crumb with some, I think there's coconut in that, and just chocolate, and then like butter, and then there's like a custard in the middle, and then chocolate at the top. But the Nanaimo Bar is named after the city of Nanaimo, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island. It's been around for a while, but there's actually, it's been known to be in a 1953 cookbook, and that cookbook is now on display in the Nanaimo Museum, so it's kind of neat. I don't know, it's just something, I don't know, we've had them for as long as I can remember. We live in Ontario, but Nanaimo bars, it's a Canadian treat. They are definitely really sweet, but it's really nice to enjoy something like this after a really nice roasted chicken dinner with the Swiss Chalet dipping sauce. So this is kind of a Canadian dessert. Okay, it's Monday night. For us, Domino's has 50% off pizza, and tomorrow is the last day of school for Andrew, so I thought it'd be really great to get pizza. And you know, we haven't really had takeout pizza, but I wanted to explain. So this here is a Canadian pizza, and when you order a Canadian pizza in Canada, it means pepperoni, bacon, and mushroom, and it's just bacon, just regular bacon, no Canadian bacon, just bacon. And the other pizza, my husband told me to get this because Hawaiian pizza was actually created in Canada. We had an immigrant named Sam Panopoulos. He invented this in 1962 in Chatham, Ontario, where Steve's stepmom is from. And it's just very interesting because he actually just passed away a couple of weeks ago, June 8th, I think he passed away, but I didn't really realize there was such a stigma with pineapple on pizza. I, for one, love pineapple on pizza. It's one of my favorite things, and my husband thought it was really neat because he actually passed away in London, Ontario, where my husband is from. So a Canadian pizza, pepperoni, bacon, and mushroom, and a Hawaiian pizza was created in Canada. And we are also having some pop from the Pop Shop. So the Pop Shop was created in 1969 in London, Ontario, like I said, where my husband is from. When I was a child in our small town, like we had the pop, we called him the pop guy. He had a van and he drove around town with all the crates in his back. And we didn't get pop a lot, but it was always a treat. See, it says since 1969. It was always a treat because it was always different flavors. There was like lime, there was always different stuff. So here we have black cherry, root beer, and cream soda. And it's definitely a treat. It's a, you know, it's a happy memory from my childhood because it was always a treat whenever we got it. Maybe it was like once a summer we get it, like a case of 12 or 24, I can't even remember. It was such a long time ago, but it was always a fond memory of mine when I was a kid. So I guess that's why we call it pop in Canada. I know in the States I think you call it soda, and I don't know what you call it in other parts of the world, so let me know. But anyways, Monday night is Canadian pizza. Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada, and the Pop Shop. It doesn't, right now, like I purchased these at a small store. They don't sell them a lot, so it's kind of a treat when we find them. So we're definitely going to enjoy pizza and some pop on the second last night of school. So that is dinner for Monday night. Okay, dinner tonight is Montreal smoked meat. So Montreal smoked meat is very well known in Canada. It is, it's like a kosher style created supposedly in Montreal, and that's why it's called Montreal smoked meat. But it's just a brisket. They salt it and cure it, and then let it sit for a week to get the flavors in, and then it is hot smoked to cook it through, and then at the end it is steamed to completion, and it is usually served on rye bread, and it's a very filling sandwich. It's very enjoyable, so that is what we're having tonight. Steve's best friend is actually from Montreal and actually took us like out for sandwiches there once, and they were so good. So Montreal smoked meat, that's what's for dinner tonight. Okay guys, tonight is the night. We are having poutine. It's probably one of the best known things about Canada is poutine. And if you don't know what poutine is, it's French fries. We are using cheese curds, and of course we are using the St. Albert cheese curds, cheddar. It's just something that's kind of known in this neck of the woods, and that's what you make your poutine with. And then you put a gravy on top, so we let this sit. You can also do it with shredded cheese. A lot of the restaurants around here use it, but if you were to get a real poutine, they use cheese curds. So Sarah loves this. I don't know, it's definitely rich. It's something that you don't... It's really salty. It's very salty, Sarah said, but that is poutine. It is just kind of the food of Canada. It's one of those things we would have, you know, after going out for the night, we go out to the 24-hour restaurant and have poutine at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and then go home and sleep for the day. But it's just one of those things. The poutine, they have poutine festivals. You can get pulled pork poutine. They've taken all sorts of takes on it, but this is poutine. Not good for you, but they wouldn't be Canadian meals without a poutine. So there you go, guys. Okay, so in Canada, one of the most common things is Tim Hortons. And if you're a Canadian, you say, just get me a double-double. That means get me a coffee with 2 cream and 2 sugar. And in Canada right now, we are going to be celebrating, like I said, the 100, there it is right there, double-double. In Canada, one of the most favorite times of the year is roll up the rim. And because of Canada's 150th birthday, they're actually bringing it back out for Canada Day. So usually you'd make a little, you just, you know, lots of times you make a little bit more trips to Tim Hortons. We actually had someone around here that won a car last time. Gift certificates, gift cards, bikes, all sorts of fun stuff. But what you do is after your coffee, I did this last night, you take the coffee and you roll up the rim exactly how it says, and you win a prize sometimes. So I actually won a donut. And my husband had one last night. It just said Happy Canada Day. So it says, usually it says please try again. But in Canada, double-double. And a little known fact that a lot of people probably don't know about Tim Hortons is Tim Horton was actually a professional hockey player that, you know, he had won Tim Hortons, and unfortunately he made a very poor decision to drink and drive, and it cost him his life, which is a very sad story. But you know, the store was bought out by somebody else and they made it into the franchise that what it is. So the fact that Tim Horton is supposed to be one of the great Canadian things actually died drinking and driving. So not a lot of people know that, but I think it's very important to kind of talk about that. And the other thing about Canada, craft dinner. We do not call it mac and cheese, we call it KD. So I don't know, I don't know where it came from or anything like that. I didn't really do any research, but it's just a fun fact that we don't call it mac and cheese, we call it KD. Okay guys, Canadian bacon. I don't really know what Canadian bacon is. Like, I know in the States we'll see it in movies or stuff, oh, Canadian bacon, and lots of times it kind of just looks like ham to me. But for us in Canada, what we refer to as Canadian bacon is kind of, they kind of call it, there's back bacon and female bacon, but for where I'm from, it's female bacon. And I wasn't really sure why they called it female bacon, so I did a little bit of research. And back in the old days, like this is like a pork loin and then it's cured, but in the old days, to help preserve the meat, they would dry and grind yellow peas, and that's what they would coat the meat with to try and preserve it. But as time went on and after World War I, cornmeal became more ready, so that's kind of what they pack it in now, is cornmeal, and that is what Canadian bacon is to us, female bacon. It's a little bit thicker, but you know, when you go out for breakfast, usually a lot of the options is sausage, ham, bacon, female bacon, back bacon they call it. So female bacon is Canadian bacon. Okay guys, last Canadian meal, pancakes and back bacon. And of course we are gonna have good old maple syrup, which is pretty much, it's like ketchup in our house, but maple syrup, last meal. Oh, we always love breakfast for dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed a week of Canadian dinners and other fun facts. It was a lot of fun to research it, to kind of do some history of it. I learned a lot, stuff that we just took for granted. Like, I always wonder why P-Mel bacon had cornmeal on it. Now I know. You know, going out and getting a double-double, having some KD, you know, poutine, lots of fun stuff. Not necessarily the healthiest meals, but it definitely was fun to make some of the stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. For those of you in Canada, I hope you have a safe, happy Canada Day celebrating 150 years of this wonderful country. And if you guys are not Canadian, I hope you guys enjoyed a little peek at some of our meals. This is definitely not something we eat a lot of, but it was kind of fun to pack it all in a week. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. And maybe I'll do this again next year after I do a little bit more research and find some other Canadian meals that maybe aren't as well known around the world. So thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.